Hey everyone, welcome to the weekend Sunday Stock Talk. Today's October 28th and you're looking at SPY, the S&P 500 on the yearly chart. Now before we get started, I want to thank Synthartist who posted a couple of comments last week or a couple of weeks ago in regards to the magnitude that SPY could decline. And this goes to the fact that really the community is what it's all about, right? It's not only me doing analysis, but everyone joining together to make the best decision possible. So keep that going, and we're going to talk about those scenarios right now. We have a lot to talk about. So here's SPY looking at general market movements yearly chart. There's two scenarios I've favoring, okay? Because right now, this magnitude of the decline is showing that we have heavy selling to the downside, right? Obviously. The first scenario, which I think is less plausible, is for us to start consolidating starting tomorrow up to midweek. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we consolidate in this area, and then at that point we can think about that might be the bottom. But right now, I don't see that happening, and I have a lot of factors in my mind. I'll talk to you guys about that in a moment, why I don't think that's the most plausible at the moment. Okay, that's number one. Number two is you guys can see this box area representing a support area from February, March, and April lows. Okay, this ranges from 258 to 261. That area is where we're going to have heavy selling, but at the same time, we're going to get the buy the dip buyers, which, as we have seen, has not worked for the past few weeks. Okay, so in my opinion, once we get down there, that area is not going to hold. Okay, we're going to get some buying going into this area, but that's going to be short-lived in my opinion, and we're going to be able to spike below this area. All right, so you might be asking, well, where does the second scenario lead us? And this is the scenario that I'm favoring right now. The second scenario leads us to approximately this area, 246, around to 250, but we have to, in my opinion, get below this low to kind of really put that jolt of panic into buyers and the markets. Right now, we have a really big magnitude sell-off, but do we actually see panic in the markets? Do we still see buyers coming in trying to buy the dip? And I'm going to tell you, we still have that happening. As long as we have that happening, the market is going to continue to push lower. So my range values is going to be around 247 to 252, around that vicinity where we could find that next support. And like I said, I don't expect, once we hit this gray area, don't expect this one to hold at all, because too many eyes are on this level, and therefore the markets are going to punish anyone who starts buying in that area. So be on the lookout. Now, a couple of scenarios. One is you guys can see earnings this quarter, right? What has been happening for earnings? Every time earnings come out, whether it was a FANG stock or whatnot, it gets either sold off right after earnings come out, regardless of how great the earnings are, or it gets sold off the next few days, right? And look at Amazon on Friday, down 7.82%, right? So what we can see is Apple's earnings is actually on Thursday, right? Big component of the NASDAQ. What do you think that's going to happen? Apple has been relatively stable in this really volatile environment, okay? So you want to definitely place caution once Thursday comes out. The next factor is think about the midterms, which is November 6th. That's still a little over a week away. The market still has time to drop, and not drop a little, drop significantly at that time. So that's not out of the realm possibility. And another thing is there's just not enough fear in the markets. Looking at this, right, you'd think that there's more fear in here, but we still have a ton of buyers. Hence, it's more likely for the markets to continue lower at this point. Now, I'm going to show you guys the 3-year weekly chart showing that this boxed area, right, stems from around this area is the area where we consolidated and broke out in September of last year. So that's an interesting area to be noted of. And of course, as we progress further, this could coincide with the 150 period moving average as it's sloping higher. So keeping that all in mind, This, yes, it's significant, but there could be more downside to come. Now, when will this end? That's a great question. So we have midterms on November 6th. We really have to evaluate this week by week. I think this could last. Well, volatility is going to last till midterms and possibly even longer. Okay, that's for certain. But what's not for certain is where will the bottom be formed and when will the bottom be formed. That's something I would have to evaluate on a day to week basis. But right now, do we see a bottom? The answer is obviously not. So let's keep that in mind as we move forward. And I'm looking at a lot of charts, not only this chart, but several other index charts and whatnot. And things just aren't panning out because there are too many buyers at right now for some reason. And no panic, markets will continue to go lower. So that's SPY for you guys. Let's take a look at TVIX. So TVIX was one I mentioned in previous days. Looking at the yearly chart, you can see a down-sloping red line that corresponds to the 200 period moving average. I pointed out in the last video that in the past, we've never able to close over the 200 period moving average. What happened on Friday? We closed over the 200 period. We barely closed over the 200 period moving average. What does that tell you? That tells us that there's higher prices likely in TVIX. That's number one, in the future. And two, volatility obviously is here to stay. Okay? TVIX is at 55.63. We're in this range right now, and I'm tempted to remove it. I'll keep this box for now. This is the box of resistance, or should be the resistance around this area. But I'm tempted to remove this box soon, and this one could spike even higher. So once we really get that panic selling coming in, and fear starts really coming into the markets, this TVIX can spike. $60, $70, $80 are not out of the realm of possibility. Okay, taking a look at the VIX, right? Here's the VIX. Right now, we're only at 24.16. When this one moves, you guys can see the magnitude in which it can move. It can move quickly higher. Not to, I don't want to paint a very like a doom and gloom kind of picture for everyone, but this is what we're seeing right now, and you have to be cognizant of what's developing in the markets. If we see something different, I'm looking at SPY. Let's go back to SPY really quick, right? Let's take a look at this chart, right? What's happening? First of all, see these red candles and this one green candle, right? The first green candle that moved up, it was a significant move. It was a rather impressive move. I agree. But look what's happening. Downward pressure, and then this move. This move wasn't as big as this move. This move was similar to this move, but we're still having downward pressure pushing us to the downside. This is not an area of consolidation, right? This is not a bottoming pattern right now. So just be cautious. I feel like we have a lot of buyers coming in. I do agree that I think there will be a lot of buyers, but these buyers might end up failing in the end. We really have to see that panic settling in on a really daily basis, or a minute basis actually too as well. So that's volatility for you guys. Let's take a look at a couple of charts starting with 4/CL. So I mentioned to the members with 4/CL or crude oil on Friday that this, right now you look at this chart and it looks like crude oil in the near term wants to push higher. But as long as we're unable to close 69.55, above that area, this is going to be a bearish pattern that's likely to play out to the downside. However, if we do manage to close above this area, look for higher prices to come with crude oil. So the thing about this is, this chart looks like, man, it's below the 200 period moving average. It doesn't look that great anymore. But if I take you guys to the 3-year weekly chart, you guys can see that we hit the 50 period moving average and we did bounce off of it. So the thing is, I'm watching at that level. Right now, it could move lower, and right now at this very point in time, the vicinity, the movement should be pushed to the downside, okay? But if we manage to close above that level, look for higher prices for crude oil in the near future. So overall, that's pretty good crude oil for you guys. 4/NG natural gas. So natural gas is one that has been rather interesting because it was in a topping pattern. But you guys can see that on Friday we managed to push down. We tried to push down at one point and it didn't work. We actually had buyers pushing us up during the trading day. So, while this could still be a topping area, natural gas doesn't seem to be ready to be going down right now. So I think right now I'm still favoring natural gas to move lower, okay? But it wouldn't be out of the possibility for natural gas to possibly push up here again to around 3.300 before it comes down again. So far, favoring natural gas to continue to go down. Seems like Friday didn't work. Possibly it'll work on Monday. So if you're interested, the ticker to watch would be DGAZ, which is inverse natural gas. So remember, natural gas, as natural gas pushes lower, DGAZ would be pushing higher. So just be cautious at this moment. You guys can see that here, consolidate. But what happened was, you guys can see, we went over the 20 period moving average, gapped higher, but then we filled the gap and pushed lower. So hence, right now that's probably more of a wait and see scenario than an, active investing scenario, in my opinion. That's what I would do at least. So that's DGAZ for you guys. 4/GC or gold futures. Gold futures is still showing a rejection at my resistance area of 1241, and the problem with this is, as we're getting rejected off of this area, the ticker that we've been looking at, JNUG, has been falling. So while this one is still bullish, I think on a bullish trajectory, as long as it's consolidating over here, I'm fine with it, but waiting for that next push higher, right? So if you were looking at JNUG, this chart looks significantly worse than 4/GC or gold futures. So this one is obviously getting pushed to the downside, and this is another reason why I am not favoring the markets right now, because we have the US dollar pushing higher as gold is pushing lower. I don't like that happening, and I talked about in the past how such high the US dollar prices would be unsustainable for the US in general, economy in general. So just be careful as we're looking at this. This is obviously likely to push to the downside, and we're attempting to fill that gap between 7.52 and 7.80. So we're 50 cents away. That's pretty close, but just be cognizant of that in the meantime. All right, let's take a look at a couple of your comments. I want to paint, guys. You guys know, if I have a more bullish picture for you guys, I would paint a more bullish picture or try to attempt to formulate, some sort of bullish thesis. But at the moment, we just don't see that happening in the markets. So, yeah, let's take a look at a couple of comments. So I have a question about the gray box for SPY. So this gray box, 258 to 261, which was a min month ago. Month ago, SPY was not at that price. Well, yeah, a month ago, SPY was definitely not at that price, but we're heading towards that area. And I had, in the past, I had a gray box over here too, looking for consolidation. It was occurring at one point, but then we dropped off that consolidation, and hence, that's got to take off that box. And so this box has always been here. This box over here, I added in just, a few days ago. Actually, on Friday when I was doing the members video. So that's the next area of support. Rizwan, killing it on GC and shorting ES with every rip with a stop loss. Very good. I shorted SFM. Will you please look at it? Sure, absolutely. SFM. So Rizwan, you've been shorting Sprouts all the time, right? That's interesting. So with Sprouts, this is one that has been, you guys can see, relatively immune so far. Keeping a look that earnings is coming out on 11/1, so you want to be cautious in this environment, right? When we're certainly overextended, we are overextended. If I did a box, the number, I did a box right here for you guys, right? The amount of prices above versus the amount of prices below, the likely scenario is that it would head to the downside. So I think, in the near term, if you're shorting it, you might not get that much profit as it's just consolidating this area, but there could be the possibility of when the earnings come out that we'll have that spike lower as we are overextended. And this one hasn't corrected with the other, this is Sprouts, of course, but still. Yeah, so I think that's a pretty good trend for you to look at. Good job, Rizwan. You've been the one who's always been shorting Sprout, so I just find it funny. A64750, thank you for your comment, Brolick. All right, let's take a look at OSB. OSB, guys, yeah, this one can't look at it. This is likely to head on lower. No areas of consolidation. Let's take a look at the zoom out. Yeah, there's big trouble. I think if you're shorting this one, you're good. If you're going long on this one, be ready to lose some money. So, okay, thank you for your comment. EMR. Expected move range for ES 2851 to 2683. If we finish outside of range, we might have a bottom. Yeah, so be ready for anything. So DJ Sin, exactly. Be ready for anything, because right now, you know, this trend can't even argue like what is going on here. Like if I take you guys to the NASDAQ futures, these are, you know, 3-year weekly charts. There's nothing you can say about these patterns that can establish a bullish pattern. There's nothing here. Can you guys see that? So we have to point for lower prices. Even if we manage, you know, somehow manage to come up to a, you know, a resistance area, there needs to be a lot of healing in the markets that needs to happen. And right now, no, there's going to be more bleeding, I think, first. Brian, I've watched you since May with the glory days of Micron at $65. The glory days. Yes, Micron. You're exactly right. I remember those days. Your videos have been consistently on point, and every call that comes out makes true. Thank you for your comment, Brian. You know, I try my best, and of course I talk about these trends, but ultimately it is up to you guys to, you know, probably factor in my comments, but as well as your comments, which are the most important, into your best trading decision. So keep that up, guys. And yeah, hit a like button if you enjoy these videos. Highly appreciate it. Highly appreciate you guys watching. Prashanth, you're welcome. Samuel, maybe sideline is best thing to do right now. Samuel, that is a very astute comment, and I agree with that situation. If you're not shorting, because, you know, the trend is obviously to the downside, so if you're not shorting and you're looking for a long position, I agree, sideline is probably one of the best, you know, times to wait this one out and see what happens in the future, right? In my opinion, the bottom time period could be sometime around midterms. Okay, that's still over a week away, but we have to see signs of that happening first. Otherwise, I can't give a scenario of where the bottom is, right? Prashanth, let's take a look at RH, Restoration Hardware. RH, interesting. Okay, so this one is obviously on a downtrend, right? Obviously on a downtrend. And what you can see in the past is, here's rejection off the 20. Here we got over the 20, got rejected. Here we're trying to push up again. Let's see, push up again. So the thing is, I think if you're in this one, you should be okay. However, you need to set a stop on this one, because if you're wrong, this one can dip further, right? It can dip further. So, this one's showing some problems right now, because you guys can see, here's the double top, right? And then we had selling, and really pretty significant selling after earnings. This one looks like it wants to push lower. I do agree that there is a support area right here, $104, corresponds to breakout areas and resistance areas in the past. I do agree with that. So I think, you know, if you wanted to, you could, but keep in mind what the market's doing, right? Keep in mind what the market's doing. Rico, keeping an eye on Micron and Billy, good stuff. Mike, Canine, Ant, Luis, Eric, everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. And tomorrow and for the next month, I might be on a little late, so be ready for some late night stock talks if you guys like those. So enjoy your rest of the day, and of course, happy trading. See you guys soon.